We are moving into a cycle that is for women, for like middle-aged women, for women stepping into their power. This is literally our time. And we're being supported because the previous cycle was earth element. This new cycle is all about fire element. And the fire element has an energy of passion. It has an energy, it's fast, it's moving, it's changing, and it's going to have a really powerful effect on transformation.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the KTS Success Factor podcast for women, where we talk about challenges senior female leaders face in being happy and successful at work. I'm your host, Dr. Sarah E. Brown. My guest today is Patricia Lohan. She is the creator of Powerhouse and author of The Happy Home, a guide to creating a happy, healthy, wealthy life. Patricia helps women make their home magnetic to money, luck, and blessings. She shows you what they don't teach in school, what lies between the lines, your top secret tool for success. She is a Feng Shui expert, a healer, and a passionate female entrepreneur. She has a gift for making Feng Shui simple, easy to understand, and easy to implement. And she is a repeat guest on this show. She was last here in July of 2021 when she talked with us about Feng Shuiing our office. And she was talking about the impact that our physical environment has on us and our ability to move to the next level. And I remember the tips that she talked about making Feng Shui simple. And one of the things she emphasized, which I do all the time now, is when you walk into a room, sense whether or not it's lifting your spirits or decreasing your spirits. Pay attention to your environment and the impact that it's having on you. And Patricia, I will tell you, every time I walk into my office now, I think about that. You had a lasting impact on that.
Oh, I'm very grateful to hear that.
So welcome back. When we last talked, you were splitting your time between Ireland and Bali. Are you still doing that?
We're splitting our time now between Ireland, Greece, and Bali.
Very cool. So you are now where?
I'm currently in Ireland. We'll be in Greece for the summers.
Well, welcome back. So there's something going on this year that you want to share with us. So what's going on this year and how does it impact Feng Shui, and what do women around the world need to know about what's going on?
Well, I think that just to kind of give a precursor, in Feng Shui, you may have heard about the Chinese New Year. And every year the cycle changes. Like we're in 2024, it's the Chinese New Year of the Wood Dragon. And it's like this little change of energy from one year to the next. And my clients would be changing the energies of their home, changing their remedies. We would kind of give them an updated report because as the energy changes, we need to move with that. It's not it's not like a set in stone. It's just like the seasons. It's a bit like the seasons change, basically. Now we have like 1 year season changes from the Chinese New Year. And then Feng Shui is, a very ancient practice. It's 5,000 years old. And Chinese sages spent like hundreds of years studying the movement of the stars, basically how the changing positions affect the energies on buildings. And they created a calendar. And this calendar runs on 180-year cycles. So there's like a giant, like overarching cycle, and then there's our 1 year cycle, but then that 180-year cycle is divided into 9, and that's a 20-year cycle. So we are currently moving from cycle 8. So for the 3rd or 4th of February, 2024, we'll have moved from cycle 8 into cycle 9. Now you'll be like, why does this matter to me? Well, I'll just talk a little bit about what cycle 8 was, because cycle 8 was all about the earth element, is about real estate, and it was all about young males in power. And, we can kind of look back and be like, right, well, what were the big things that kind of like big companies that grew? And like the first one that comes to mind is the likes of Facebook, Instagram, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, all these men whose businesses kind of got like massive. Like it was young guys in power, like it just exploded, which is amazing. Now we're moving into cycle 9. And this means that not that it doesn't mean that young men aren't going to do well in cycle 9. What it does mean, though, is that we're going to see a much, much bigger influence on mature females in power. So this is why, Sarah, I came to you and I was like, this is so important for us to all know and to recognize that we are moving into a cycle that is for women, for like middle-aged women, for women stepping into their power. This is literally our time. And we're being supported because the previous cycle was earth element. This new cycle is all about fire element. And the fire element has an energy of passion. It has an energy. It's fast, it's moving, it's changing, and it's going to have a really powerful effect on transformation. So a lot of the words to answer your questions as I kind of start to go through this, because I have a lot that I want to kind of bring to people's awareness. But this is going to be a time of deep transformation and change, which is very exciting. There's going to be an opportunity for fame, for expansion, for collaboration, and technology is going to change even more and even more rapidly than we've been experiencing. And it's also going to be a time for deep spiritual transformation and soul discovery, and getting, particularly, like, everybody is going to be affected by this, particularly women, getting them into alignment on their true path. And basically kind of burning away the fire element, that phoenix rising energy is going to like burn away any of the ego that is kind of stopping you from truly being and embodying what you're here to do on the planet right now.
Okay, so what do I do about it? I mean, if this is really my time, and if transformation is the name of the game, what should I think about? What should I do? What should I change my spiritual time? What general guidance would you give?
So the first thing I would say is that this is going to be happening irrelevant of whether you do something or not. So the first level is having awareness. Like, we're going to see more women in power. Like, I just saw a lady at the first MEP Maori MEP in New Zealand doing the haka in Parliament. I'm like, oh, things are changing, you know? So we're going to start seeing more and more. And we've already seen it. So it's not like the 4th of February happened and then everything, we've already started seeing it, because within this 20-year cycle, there's kind of like a maturing, and we've been moving in. So we've been seeing it. So in terms of preparation for it, I would say the very first thing is actually getting clarity about where you're going, about what you want to create, and kind of being like, well, why am I here? Start asking the deeper questions. Why am I here? What am I here to do? How am I here to shine? And what parts of me, like, allow this transformation of the Phoenix to come up and to get yourself clear of any of those mental blocks. You know, for example, you asked about your spiritual time. Should you change it? Maybe this is a huge time of spiritual transformation. Maybe it's about going, okay, what are my spiritual practices? Do you have spiritual practices? Because this is the time for us to be tapping into our alignment. And if you have a spiritual practice, is it actually rising my vibration? Am I feeling happier, healthier, better when I get up from my meditation practice, from my yoga practice? Like, am I just like going, oh, I don't need to do that? No. Like, this is the time that we need to be doing that. You need to be sitting down and literally connecting with source to guide you to get yourself into alignment. That would be my first thing.
Is it really going to last for 20 years?
It will. The cycle will continue for 20 years. And actually, like, just from an annual perspective, when we see annual changes in Feng Shui, like a backstory, one of our very first business clients, the Chinese New Year starts around the 3rd or 4th of February every year. And I went to do a consult with her about 6 months into the year. And she had basically was kind of like at her wit's end. She's like, what the hell is going on with our business? Blah, blah, blah. And then we did the analysis like I do with my clients. And I was like, okay, right, well, have you had financial difficulties this year? And she was like, yeah, how did you know? And I was like, well, on the 3rd of February, I didn't even say the 3rd. I said, oh, well, your building has got into a money lock. So like a freeze for this cycle, like for this 1 year. And she's like, I'll tell you the date. She actually turned around and told me the 3rd of February, I lost my biggest client, and everything has just been so stagnant and stale since then. And I was like, oh, okay. And that was such a very confirming thing for me, for her to actually feed back to me on that date. Things changed for her. And I was like, well, it's literally in alignment. Of course, your building went into a money lock on that day. And obviously I could help her to shift it and to support her and change things around. But from a 20-year perspective, things are going to change. And this is also, I suppose, it's not just about like, there's going to be industries that are going to be most tapped in. So obviously, fire transformation, it's about making sure that you are up to speed with, the technology, or getting more up to speed with the technology, making sure that how do I describe it? That you're really moving with the change. So like some of the industries that will thrive in this period, which is like metaphysics, energy healings, like even Feng Shui. We've just started our Feng Shui certification this year. And I was just saying to them, I'm like, oh my God, we're right on time. Like this is the time, and people are going to be needing more help. With this fire element, what's really important is that the fire energy, and people need to stay grounded. And that's why I started with like having a good practice, having a very good meditation, like personal spiritual practice, because fire also is a very immense energy. So it can create aggression. It can lead to changes in relationships. So it's about making sure that you're in this clear alignment with a view of like, where am I going? Because we are also going to see the people who are not doing those practices. First of all, they're going to need our help. And second of all, they're also going to be, there could be increase in like family law, divorce lawyers, family therapists, because this is a dynamic time of change. And we haven't seen anything like this before. The last time was 180 years ago. 180 years ago, Queen Victoria was in power. In China, there was a female leader in power. I can't remember her name, but there was also a female leader in power in China. So we're like, wow, okay, well, look at this. This is a time where we can come more into our power. And that's going to ruffle people's feathers. So we need to be able to stand in our power and also be clear with where we're going. And I think that also just in terms of like your business doesn't necessarily need to be associated with fire element, and your work doesn't necessarily be associated with fire element, but it is important to make sure that you kind of connect in with keeping it online. We're also going to see, the modern age is going to be in technology, but it is about like tapping in, and it's this dance between staying grounded and growing and being online. So it's about being able to be part of it, but not of it, and getting into nature, harmonizing with nature as well.
Hi, this is Sarah Brown again, the host of the KTS Success Factor podcast for women. I hope you are enjoying this episode and gaining some tips and inspiration on how you can be happier, more successful, and experience less stress at work. If you would like to learn more about how you can take control of your career and do it your way, visit saraebrown.com. There you will be able to download a free chapter from my book, Let Your Personality Be Your Career Guide. It contains information and exercises on how you can identify your unique interests, strengths, and needs, and translate that into career goals that are just right for you. Now back to this informative episode. Okay, so you talked about being aware of the time. Mm-hmm. That's one thing. And you talked about, my words, not yours, staying current, growing while staying grounded at the same time. And you talked about being really clear about why you're on the planet. What's your purpose here? Do you have any tips and tricks on getting really clear about your purpose and why you're here and what you want to create?
I think for me, I love this. I actually, first of all, like for an exercise on like getting clear on what you'd like to create, it's really important to follow what feels good. Your body doesn't lie. If you're doing something that you feel like that excites you, do you feel good when you're doing it? Does it feel good? I think the next thing for me when it comes to like creating a vision and getting clarity about what it is that you want to create is about setting, like, I really like writing a list of like what I don't want. I don't want this. And you're like, well, what's the opposite? Because the tricky question is asking people like what they want. And, when we go to the depths of that, it's like, what are the things that are going to actually like light me up? For me, my fuel is getting an email from a client saying, oh my, I just feel so happy. I'm not on pain relief anymore. My husband just got a new job. I'm feeling really good. My son, who was a bit stuck, is doing great now. I get those a lot, like all the time. So it's like fuel. It's like, okay, well, I've been gifted this, this opportunity to share this wisdom of feng shui, and I'm just going to keep going. So how can I keep doing it? Now, if you are complaining, struggling, stuck, and I think this is the thing, it's about getting the clarity part, is looking at like, well, what's going on in your life right now? Like looking at the bigger picture. From a feng shui perspective, I love looking at the 9 areas, like the health, the career, the family, and your fame and reputation, your finances, let me see what other ones do I have, spirituality and connection, and kind of I actually have that on my website, a quiz, the 9 areas quiz, which is really useful to kind of go, okay, well, this is good, this is good, this is good. These are pretty good. Okay, these other ones need some attention. And if we're getting low marks on those, it's like, right, I need to look at this and see what part of me inside of me is stopping me, or I'm not allowing myself to flourish in this part of my life. Because it is about, like, I think for me, the purpose part can be tricky for some people, because I think we can just show up and be good, loving, kind people. Doesn't necessarily need to have a job description attached to it, like, I'm going to change the world. It's like, if you're an influencer in your life already. You don't need to be on social media and have 1 million followers to be an influencer. Like showing up every day, feeling excited about life, being happy, being joyful, and actually just contributing the way that you are, whether it's like cleaning the floors or it is standing on stages, like doesn't matter as long as you're doing it with your heart. And this is the thing, this is that alignment with your heart and knowing that you're contributing the way that you can, the best you can with your heart.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And was it 7 areas or 9 areas?
There's 9 areas.
9 areas.
And you can get the quiz on my website, and there's actually literally a 40-page report that you'll get out, like kind of giving you some things you can do around your home. Because in feng shui, we have 3 levels. So we've got this 20-year, we're talking about the 20-year cycle we're in right now, but you've got your own personal will. We've got our environment, which impacts us, which is what I work with people with feng shui, and then they're in their own, and the kind of destiny as well.
Okay. And just give us that URL for your website where.
So it's patricialohan.com. patricialohan.com.
Okay.
And that's the quiz. Yeah.
And that'll be in the show notes as well. So after we establish awareness and we get clear about what we're doing by looking at the 9 areas, is there anything in our environment, because you really drilled into us the impact that our environment has on us, is there anything in the environment that we should pay attention to?
There's a lot. And I would start staying with people, like with your physical environment. It's impacting you anyways, all the time. So if you're looking at those 9 areas and you're seeing something that's off, that's not balanced, I would start with your home, because it's the easiest thing to change. Does your home, like, for example, if from a health perspective, you're like, I'm not doing, like, I want to get more vibrancy, more health, feel better in my body, whatever it is in terms of a health perspective, then it's like, go open your cupboards and look in your cupboards. Is this food like clean food? Is it healthy food? Is it in date? Is it, are my food cupboards completely overwhelmed? Is my fridge just like totally busy? And, do I have too much in this space? Like, I'm not sure about you, but in Ireland, we have much smaller cupboards and pantries than we have in the US and in Canada. Like, I've been in the pantries and I'm like, whoa, like, are we waiting for like an apocalypse? There's so much food here. We do not need this. And it's just like, there's just too much stuff. So I would be definitely doing a bit of like an analysis of, from a food part, okay, I want to get healthy and fit. What's in this house that represents that? Like, do I have exercise equipment? Do I have things? Put them in a place, get it organized, get yourself organized. In terms of books, like, I'm a big fan of reading. I love it. Like, basically 2 things in life I cannot do without, like herbal tea and books. That's, I'm just happy with those 2 things. And I think the thing is, but what I see with people who are big into reading is they have a lot of books, like a lot, and they're holding on to them. Like, it's like as if it's like a trophy or something. Look at all the books I've read. The thing is, that creates stagnancy. And this is a time of change. And any place in your home where there's stagnancy, in the case of one client of mine, a bookcase that had the same books on it for 32 years, like, Of course, there's no flow. And that part, like if you do the quiz, you'll see the 9 areas. One of your areas is represented that area of your life. And you're like, oh, I wonder why I haven't found my soulmate. I wonder why my finances are feeling stuck and my salary hasn't changed in 5 years. I literally had a podcaster interview me recently. And she was like, I just haven't moved. My income plateau has not changed for 5 years. And I was like, okay. And I'm like, look around your office. Tell me where are you? It's in our north area. I was like, okay, what's there? And she just went, oh, it's like all those boxes are there since I moved in, haven't been moved in the 5 years. I was like, get rid of them. We want movement. We want flow. So I would be doing a little bit of a move around your house and think, does this align with how I want to feel every day? Does this align with where I'm going? Like the artwork. I don't know if we covered that one before, Sarah, but like,
we didn't.
Oh my God. Like I am a big fan of like making your home a vision board for your future. So, and to keep you like kind of focused on how you want to feel. So I'll give you an example of some of the art just in my own office. I have a beautiful painting of these flowers that are just like in full bloom. And I'm like, that's how I want to feel every day. I want to feel like a flower just in full bloom, shining brightly. This is me. Yeah. I have a picture on one side that says adventure, because that is, I live in 3 different countries and I also travel a lot. And I'm like, yes, I've got like a picture actually, some of these pictures are from clients and friends and my dad and stuff. Every piece of art, everything in my office represents something that I appreciate or someone that I love dearly and has a deeper meaning. Like you see a scooter with two people behind it kissing. I see a gift from my dad. I see the love from my dad. I see an amazing holiday in Italy together. Our last family holiday together. I see something totally different. You walk in, you go, oh, that's a cute picture of a scooter and a couple. But I'm like, no. Like there's more. And that's the thing. It's like every piece of art in your home is telling a story. And it's either of your past or your future, of what you want to create or you don't want to create. And interestingly enough, that picture, I bought it with my dad and I was single at the time. And I was like, I really would like I'm going to bring a piece of art that reminds me of a couple, like a couple together. And what's so interesting is there's the couple kissing. I was like, I want that in my house. And there behind you is a picture of my dad and me and my husband.
Interesting. Mm-hmm.
So I haven't got a frame for it yet, but, just in terms of like that idea of like, what are the things that inspire you? The second picture behind is a picture of the ramp up into as you arrive at Necker Island. And I was lucky enough to visit Necker Island and spend time with Richard Branson. And that just inspires me of our time together. It inspires me by him. It inspires me with Necker Island. It's just like everything, there's like a lot, it's loaded, people come in, that's a nice picture of the sea and a bit more, and I think this is the thing. It's like in our homes, we can really make a big difference and we can either attract things to us or we can be really recreating the same life. And that's that idea of alignment, making sure that the art represents where you're going.
Okay. So the gist of it is to look at your surroundings and is everything in your surroundings supporting your vision of who you are becoming.
Yeah, 100%.
Great. So do you have any tips for 2024, things that we should put on our to-do list for 2024?
The first thing I would say to you is like doing a spring clean. Like it is the time now for a spring clean. It's the time to like freshen up. We've got a floor cleaner coming on Saturday. We've got the window cleaner coming on Monday. It's like when we're entering into this new cycle, it's like really start to embrace it. The second thing I would say, as I've already discussed, is like do a clear out, like specifically go to the stagnant areas where nothing has been moved or changed in a significant time and clear those out. Because you want to get a hit of movement this year, let's go tackle them. And then the third thing I would say is start to connect with your home, like start to like appreciate it, like literally start to be like, God, I'm so lucky to have a home. Like how can I take care of it? How can I take care of this environment? Because it's taking care of you. So if there's leaks or things not working, I would certainly go and check those, because again, linked to those 9 areas, if there's something not working in that area, it's going to be reflecting back into your life.
Got it. So Patricia, Good, all good tips for us. Is there something I should have asked you that I didn't to help us understand what's about to happen and how we can take maximum advantage of it?
I suppose one of the big things about this is just like kind of recognizing that with the fire element and this change in the fire element is that essentially the fire is connected to every element, okay? And it's connected to everything. So it's a big time for collaboration. It's actually a really big time for collaboration. And that's one of the things, like, so this fire element is really going to, and this 20-year cycle is going to honor people who are doing what they're passionate about, the fire element has a lot of strength, assertiveness, but it's also a purification. So, currently I'm just finishing a 3-day water fast. I'm really big into like cleansing my body. It's like we want to cleanse our home, cleanse our body, cleanse our mind, because the fire element is going to support with that, but it's going to also support us to flourish with that. The nice thing about this, about the other thing to be aware of though, is that there's a massive part of self-care, like looking after yourself during this period, because the flip side of fire, as I touched on a tiny bit, is that there's aggression and burnout, and there can be jealousy and competitiveness. Like, it's that fire. So it is something to be kind of mindful of. And if you're not looking after yourself, it's going to be, that's why I was like, get into your meditation practice, ground yourself, like spend time in nature. And then basically the one thing about fire element for the 20 years is that there's just going to be constant change. Like if you sit and look at a fire, you'll never see it again. Never. It's all constantly changing. So letting go of old beliefs and old patterns is going to be really important in this cycle, and giving yourself permission to just accept the impermanence. And I think that's one of the reasons why this is such a spiritual period that we're moving into, of like alchemy and transformation, because fire burns, it destroys, but it also creates. So it has like these flip sides. So be prepared for change and don't resist it. Allow it, like allow the change.
Great. Patricia, thank you so much for being with us today.
You're so welcome. It was a pleasure.
Thanks for listening to the KTS Success Factor podcast for women. If you like what you are hearing, please go to iTunes to subscribe, rate us, and leave a review. And if you would like more information on how we can help women in your organization to thrive, then go to www.sarahebrown.com. You can sign up for our newsletter, read show notes, and learn more about our podcast guests, read my blog, browse through the books, or contact us for a chat. Goodbye for now.